Hello. What if you are the one meant to save yourself? So, as I was writing the book, obviously, as I mentioned before, if you've listened to any other videos, this is basically themed off of the book that I'm writing. It's thoughts and reflections and things that come up. And in this one, I was thinking about how in the book, basically, Rook is learning to save herself. And what I mean is, for the longest time in my childhood, I would watch movies, love movies, and I would think, I wish someone would come save me. Not that I was a victim, but it's like I wish someone would come in and see my potential or, you know, ask me to be their apprentice. Basically, like in the movie Willow, which is, I know for a lot of you, an old movie. But in the movie Willow, I think I mentioned this before, but essentially the wizard comes to town and Willow wants to be picked to be the great next magician to be trained. And in that, I always thought, like, I wish, I'll just keep on struggling through life, waiting for someone to notice me and to take me under their wing because I don't know how to do it myself. I don't know how to just go out and do and carve my own path. And I would look to others and I would give away my power. And then eventually, I would give my power away to myself, to my future self. One day I'll do this. One day I'll do that when the conditions are right. And the more that I pushed that away, the more that I realized, and it took many, many years to realize this. But what if your higher self is the mentor you're looking for? Because if you look for answers, sometimes it's the brain looking for answers because the brain filters all the information around us that all exist. And the brain is more of a deletion thing because there's just too much for it to handle. But what if, in that area, when you look for that, the answers appear and they don't always appear from your brain seeing things. I've had my wife, we're complete opposites. And there's been things that I've been curious about. There was a stage in my life where I was opening up to possibilities. And I was like, okay, well, what do I want to learn this week? Maybe I'll go research it. And the answers would pop up from my wife. She would just say something, I heard this, and it is nothing she's interested in. And it was just really weird for her to come to me and say that. Or, you know, I'm not really a church person anymore. There's nothing wrong with church. It raised me for half of my life through my childhood, and I learned a lot. It's just not something that is for me at the moment. I'm redefining my relationship to God and to Jesus and the whole thing. There's a lot of things I don't believe in. I don't want to get into it right now. But essentially, if you know, you know that religion just doesn't fit certain things. It doesn't mean I won't go back to it. I don't know. But right now, it doesn't feel like I will. But anywho, so in that though, I would go to church and there would be a sermon covering what I was curious about, which is weird because if you're thinking about, you have this question, I'm would come up maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, or something, and then I go to church and the sermon is over that subject, and the sermon was written before I even thought about it. So that's really odd. But TV commercials come on, which I don't get those anymore because I stream everything. But things pop up, just random things out in the world. Information comes to me with the answers I wanted, and I just thought maybe that was spirit, maybe that was God. And I'm not saying it wasn't, but looking at it now, you know, I'm the mentor. I'm the person. If nothing else, the future self, my higher self, is that which will guide me. I look for answers. I stay open and I receive. I'm not saying that you don't have people, mentors that come into your life. When they say things like, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And I thought that. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I must not be ready. What am I doing wrong? And I got lost in all that. But I was both the teacher, the master, and the student. And so I'm asking, what if? What if you stop, giving your power away? Giving your power away isn't just giving it away in victim mode. It's not just saying that all these things happened and, oh, poor is me. What do I do? When you look at that and go, you know what? Irregardless of what happened to me, I may not have chosen that. Who knows? Who knows if choosing things in your lifetime before you get here? I believe. But, anyways, what if victimhood isn't the only way? What if victimhood isn't the only way to give away your power? But what if another way to give you away your power is to give it outside of you? I mean, it's an all inside game. If the outside reflects the inside, as above, so below, as within, so without. And I don't actually know the full thing, but basically, what if it's you? What if the things outside of you you're giving power to are actually mirrors? What if they're reflections? What if they're opportunities to look inside? What if they're just another tool for reflection, another tool to learn? I believe that we all have our own world. We have no right to try to put power, to take power from others, to try to not influence, to try to basically impose ourselves upon others. We have every right to see how we see. It's the reflection. It's how we perceive things. We have the right to that. And, we can influence others if it's for the higher good. But, I mean, it's not rules. It's just kind of like feeling. But if you look into all that, basically the whole thing is it's all about you for your world. Imagine that we all have a sphere around us, and that sphere influences others, and people come and go, and sometimes there's residual and everything. And that's how I try to think about it. And what I see and how I see it, that's what I'm responsible for. And if I look to myself, and I look to my higher self, and I look to my future self, those are the teachers that I want to learn from. Even if you imagine, well, what would it look like? And then put yourself there and then try to connect the bridge. Granted, you don't know what it's going to look like. You want basically a theme. You want an understanding of what it could be, not for the sake of this is how it has to happen, rigid A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You basically want something to where this is what it would imagine like, but I'm open to better. I'm open to different. I'm open to one door not being the final door, the final aha, but that door opening to another door and then to another door, as long as I'm progressing, as long as I'm going towards what I want, the experience that I want, because it's all experiential. So in there, also too, like I mentioned, one thing I found is I would put it up on a shelf. And that when I got to that point, that was my next lesson, was stop putting it in the future. Stop giving power to your future self. Project onto that future self what you would like, what it would feel like, and then bring it back to you through your feelings, through your senses. And then ask yourself, what do I do now? Not as fact of what step do I take, but what do I do now to put myself in that energy so that I can take aligned action as it comes to me? What is the feeling? Because the feelings that you get when you have what you want, let's say it's $1 million, a brand new house, a new relationship, a new job, a new career. What are the feelings that you feel when you have that? They're feelings that are generated by your reaction or your acting towards something. You can do that right now. It's not the same as far as like, yeah, the moment you stop is the moment you stop, but the more that you put yourself in that energy, in that vibration, in that headspace, that mind space, that heart space, the more that you do that, the more you are able to be in the frequency to attract the things that resonate with that. And the more that you can take aligned action, the more you can open your heart and listen. Does this feel right for me? Not in the moment. It doesn't mean I discard it, because it might feel right later. But for right now, this feels right. This doesn't feel right. This feels more right. This feels less right. Use your inner compass. Use your navigation of your heart to almost override your mind, because the mind will protect you out of the things that you want, because the mind wants what's familiar. So seek these things and look into it and allow it to guide you. Be your own guide. Be your own mentor. Be your own master. Because in doing so as well, you're taking on sovereignty. Sovereignty? I think that's how you say it. Basically, being sovereign, being in power, being aware of what things mean to you. Take what is for you and leave that which isn't. I've long thought, and I think I've honed it down in the last several years, the concept of a buffet. Ideally, if you go to a buffet and you get the things that you want, that is what serves you. And maybe you don't want it in this moment, but you might want it on your second plate, on your third go round, depending on how much you eat. But ideally, me personally, I'd like a little bit of everything, as many as possible, so I can experience it, so that I'm not just gorging on one thing. But if you gorge on one thing, so be it. It's all about what makes you happy in the moment. But the thing about it is, I'm not going to judge somebody else for getting something I don't want, even if it disgusts me, even if it's something that I truly turns my stomach. That is their business. That makes them happy. Why? What is the point? Why should I stomp on their happiness? You know, that's what they want. That's what serves them. Life is the same way, in my opinion. Experiential. We choose our experiences. The experiences that aren't for us, the moment that we judge that, we're literally taking stock in that. We're taking part of our energy and applying it to that. How many times have you seen someone hate something so passionately that before too long they become the very thing they hate? Because they're putting energy into that. They're dropping or raising, I wouldn't say raising their vibration. If they're putting energy into something they don't want, it's a negative vibration, it's a hatred. But they're still putting that vibration out there. And then before long, they're becoming in alignment with that and they become that thing. So be careful where you put your energy. Be careful where you pay your attention, what you give your attention to. Make sure it sits in your heart and it's what you want. Well, I think that I've said enough. I didn't talk much about the book as far as Rook. I guess I could real quick. Rook is putting her attention on having power and wielding it, but not hurting others. Because no matter what, she's always wanted to take care of others. She doesn't want to hurt others. So in taking that power, she knows, or at least she learns, that she's not going to, like once she has it, once she starts stepping into that power, she realizes restraint. She realizes control. It's not in controlling others. It's in controlling yourself. It's in controlling the spigot, the flow, how much you let out, when to let it out. It's about controlling yourself and having that trust in yourself and loving yourself enough, love and trust in yourself enough that you know that you can handle it. And if you can't handle it, to step back and take a moment of clarity, to be in that moment. Take a breath and expand. You know, we're constantly expanding. So if you need to expand to handle something, if you need to expand to hold the flow of something, then be aware of it. Awareness, compassion, restraint. She's learning all of these things. She's becoming a leader, not because she wants to become a leader, but because it's what's right. It's what feels right. And even then, I don't want to spoil anything yet, but essentially, well, I guess when she's given the option, the opportunity to become a leader, to actually lead and tell them what and how to do and how to act, she doesn't necessarily. I'm trying to think in the book, during the book, in moments of time, there's no corruption, there's no power hungry, there's no wanting to hurt others or taking advantage of others. I'm trying to think throughout the book, but I know at the very ending, because I just actually wrote the end, I did the first run through, all 30 chapters with about an average of 1,500 words. I just finished writing the ending. And in there's an opportunity where she can lead them and they can follow her, but that's not what it's all about. In this book, it's her path, it's her journey right now. In this first book, it's about her. And as a result, while others are there to help her and to reflect herself, they're not there to lead her or to tell her what to do. And so in the same meaning, when the same energy, when she comes to a point of potential actual leadership, like really like followers that want to follow her to the end of the earth kind of thing, she tells them, no, that's not what it's about. It's about being your own person, choosing your path. So anyways, I've talked long enough. I appreciate you sticking around. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, all the good stuff. I love you guys. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for your attention and your energy. And I'm there for you as best as I can be. Myself first. I take care of myself so that my cup spilleth over so I can take care of others. And the more that I have, the more that I have. But the more that I have, the more that I intend to give. Not selflessly like I used to, at my own exhaustion at my own detriment, but just being there. And at the very least, holding space for others. Because sometimes it's not about you giving answers, it's not about you helping others to do something and what to do. Sometimes it's about just being present and loving the person and acknowledging them. That is some of the most powerful things you can do for others. Thank you very much. Love you guys. I'll talk to you next week.